And post some stuff like, caption please. Put up a funny picture. Caption please. Or ask a question. Facebook's made that real easy right now to do surveys. On any page you have, you can create surveys there. The whole idea is to get people interacting. We have done away with our student ministry website. It's all Facebook now. On Facebook, you can create a landing page, the information, and it's amazing now that parents even get in there and find information, because Facebook is just where people are. Let's take a second. How many of y'all have heard of Monty Python? They did something because remember Napster? Yeah. Napster was the idea of free stuff. Well, actually stolen stuff that became free. And the music industry fought them to their demise. People are going to find ways, so what you do is give it away and monetize it on the back end. Find a way to do that. People forever have ripped stuff and put it up on YouTube. It's hilarious. I mean, you rip other people's stuff, it lasts for a couple days, then YouTube takes it down because it's proprietary. They were doing that with music for a while, now they just put a link where you can buy the song. So it's funny because today you've got to understand what's happening online. It's about value first, and then to ask. Well, this is a cool video that Monty Python put up on Vimeo. Do we have that ready, guys? You want to see this?
For 3 years, you YouTubers have been ripping us off, taking tens of thousands of our videos and putting them up on YouTube.
We all thought, well, what can we do?
We decided we have to go to war.
We know who you are.
Who are they again? Who are their names?
We know where you live.
And somebody might get hurt.
We could come after you in ways too horrible to mention.
Our lawyers suddenly said, well, actually, we have, one last throw is to say we're going to go to court whatever happens.
But being the extraordinarily nice chaps we are, we figured out a better way to get our own back.
Like how?
It's time for us to take matters into our own hands.
What the is this all about?
By launching our very own Monty Python channel on YouTube.
Really?
Wow.
Fabulous.
Great idea. Fantastic.
No more of those crap quality videos you've been posting. We're giving you the real thing. High quality videos delivered straight from our Monty Python vault.
We wanted it to go out as we made it.
To kind of have everything, a comprehensive collection that's kind of sorted and catalogued and labeled.
What's more, we're taking your most viewed clips and uploading brand new high-quality versions.
My son showed me how to edit on the computer, so it's great.
It was quite an exhausting process.
And what's even more, we're letting you see absolutely everything for free.
What?
I didn't know it. That's what you were going to do.
I doubt it.
Are you insane?
It's massive.
Deeply disappointed.
It wasn't quite what we meant.
Now, what are we doing this
We're
for?
going to say no, right? We all agree, everybody?
No. That's a lot of television. It's a lot of money. This is going really badly. I would move on fastish.
But we want something in return.
Let's stick at it. Maybe there is money to be made.
We want you to click on the links and buy our movies and TV shows.
Now I get it.
Only this will soften our pain and disgust at being ripped off all these years.
What a relief. Oh, God.
Fine by me.
Have the shows.
The Monty Python channel on YouTube.
Oh, they did. There it is. You need to understand the media you're using. Let me talk a minute about videos on there. We were talking a moment about creating a video that's viral or not. What we try to create along the way is some videos that people will pass on. And we tapped a couple of those that were decent. One of them was we did the Outreach Linebacker Easter Bunny. And I don't know if you've seen the Outreach Linebacker, but we had a professional wrestler in our church, which helped because you put that in the tag, it comes up searchable on Google. And we had him getting beat up by the Easter Bunny because he wouldn't bring his friends to church. And the whole idea was, you're going to bring somebody. Well, I don't think I'll do that. And kind of funny, that took off a little bit. But we try to create some things that people can put on on their Facebook page and pass on to somebody else that has some stuff. We've also missed it with some of ours that we put out there. We do every 6 months a Lead Now piece where we do leadership development, talk about the vision and all of that. And we created a video. Most of the videos we use in the service, then we pop them up. Well, we created a video off the Power Drink where it goes, you want to win more, games than anybody in the world? Drink this, and it just power in your face. We did that, and it died. The 20-somethings loved it, but anybody over 27 thought, what are you guys doing? So understand your market. You'll miss it some. Let me give you one thing. Let's talk about what is it you use with social media to tweet from, to Facebook from? Do you have something at one place?
I use a lot of things. Depends on my mood. If I'm in front of my laptop, I use TweetDeck for Chrome, which I find to be better than the desktop version. On my iPad, I'll use Hootsuite, and on my iPhone, I'll use Seismic. So, kind of a variety of tools. Yeah.
But what I use Tweet. One of the things I like about TweetDeck and Hootsuite is, and Seismic may, I don't know, is you can schedule Twitters.
Yeah.
And Facebook updates. You can you can put several accounts. So I have our church's Facebook, my Twitter account, the church's Twitter account. You can pick which one, and then you can schedule them. So when I go out of town on vacation, I actually schedule tweets while I'm gone.
Yeah.
That'll pop up in there. Does that make sense? So you're thinking, I don't have time all day to get in Twitter. You don't have to have time. Now, don't post 20 tweets at one time. Don't just, as you post them, we've got friends that do that. As you post them, take and change the time so it's 1 an hour or 1 every 30. Are you with me? And going after what he's talking about, news in the afternoon, devotional idea in the morning, whatever, and go at 2 different ones. You can use selective tweets, which basically means that any tweet you put up, if you put a pound or the hashtag Facebook, it'll go to your Facebook page. But I like better not using that because rarely am I tweeting the same thing I'm Facebooking. Does that make sense? But if you get one place, you can aggregate things. Did we talk about Google Plus?
I think we skipped over that.
I think we skipped over Google Plus.
Yeah.
Google Plus, just out. You're on Google Plus. What are you doing with that?
I see Google Plus as a pretty neat innovation because of the idea of circles. And what we've talked about with Pastor Rick Warren is he wants to mentor people. And for me, Google Plus is a great visualization of what mentoring looks like. I can take people and put them in circles. I've got a youth ministry circle, a worship ministry circle, a media circle, whatever. And as I publish things, I can publish to those circles, and I can also read from those circles. And it's kind of like Facebook like button in that you just click a +1 button somewhere,
right,
and that shares it to your Google Plus profile.
Yeah, I'm on there. I haven't seen the, it was pumped big, and Google's brilliant by you having to be invited in order to get there. Started that with Gmail. You couldn't get a Gmail account unless somebody invited you. When Google Plus came out, I twittered out there, somebody invite me. And of course, I got an invite on there. And, I'm going back and forth there. The thing that I struggle with is it doesn't aggregate from another spot. I can't get on TweetDeck. I'm sure that may change.
Well, if you browse with Google Chrome, like cool people
I use Firefox.
See. In Google Chrome, there's an add-on that you can install, a free extension, and when you go to Google Plus, you can post in your Google Plus box, and it will allow you to also check off Facebook and Twitter, and you can post to all of them. Now, you can't post to Google Plus from somewhere else, but you can post from Google Plus to everywhere, and that same extension will also pull in all of your tweets and your Facebook news feed and just put it in with your stream in Google Plus, so you can have it all in Google Plus together. So
interesting. All right, I'm still not sold, but what do I know? And you obviously have made a living that way, which I have not. So let's talk a little bit more about tagging your page, your posts, your photos. We haven't mentioned blogging. I want to sit on that for a second. That's not here yet, but tagging is important in blogs. Creating the link on the end of it, don't let it be a number. You can check a box if you're using WordPress to make it actually the title of the article in there. It's searchable. What I like about a blog is I blog to my church, and I blog about issues I don't want to have to talk about again. So the advantage of the blog for me, I'm not trying to get a national audience. There's a couple people that can get a national audience. I'm not one of them, and those type of bloggers are dying. because those people are not reading blogs like that anymore. But for our church, what I try to do is go after different issues, talk about different things that I can post there that they can go back and find. I put value-added things on there. I'll give away an ebook on there. I'll do different things like that to get people coming there. But that's my opportunity then to talk to them. Our weekly email blast, that goes on. Are you guys blogging?
Yes, we blog. I see it as, and I would use the phrase content marketing. And since you bring up blogging, it's a good point to make about church leaders. We should be the kings and queens of content marketing. Every sermon, devotional, and lesson can be broken into tweets, Facebook posts, blog posts. It can be broken apart in a daily devotional. It can be used over and over. And it's the gospel. I mean, what better content is there? So for our church website, it's not just news stories. We did a story on our church website about how to overcome legalism. And we made it downloadable as a nicer looking PDF. It's basically a blog post, and that thing got shared and passed around. So to me, it's about using valuable content to draw attention, and a blog is that's what it's for.
Yeah, Seth Godin wrote about the long tail in advertising. And the long tail is the idea that you do something once and it continues. The net gives us a bigger opportunity of that forever. He talked about this before. He said Netflix is going to put Blockbuster out of business because you can't put enough brick and mortar up for people. He did this for Blockbuster, who's going out of business now. But he said because the long tail, you put up Blockbuster can't carry the movie from the 1940s or every movie from 1980s. So they're limited because it's brick and mortar. But when you're dealing with bytes and not brick and mortar, all that's up there. And Netflix, you can go there and you can pick that stuff and stream it, and they're putting them out of business. And what he said is the long tail. He said they make more money off obscure films than you make off the big films that everybody wants.
Yeah.
So when you're online like that, think of the long tail. Okay, I preached this message. What else can I do? Well, I can put some of it in a blog. Maybe I create a series of blogs. Maybe I Twitter some of it. Tie them back together, and what Google looks for when it's optimizing you in a search engine is how many tag backs you're getting, how many different places they're finding your URL. So that, in using the blog, exactly right. Make it about content. Say something worth saying there.
Yeah.
And create that long tail.
And understand the psychology, too. We talked about subject lines earlier. The same is true with the title of a blog post or an article. There is a psychology behind those titles. So 10 steps to whatever automatically grabs more attention than the title that didn't use that number. You see this in magazines. You'll see it all over the web. The things you gravitate toward are typically things that psychologically grab your attention with a number, with something practical, with something useful, and they spell a lot out in the title. So, you know, your sermon title that was all about, you know, on the road to Jericho, nobody cares, nobody knows where Jericho's at. But when it's about 8 steps to recover from failure, people can use that. So you got to think in terms of the title.
All right, let's pause for a moment right here and take a few questions from y'all. If you'll say your question loud enough, we'll repeat it and we will get it because this is a little bit offline. So questions about internet, about social media, about that stuff. If you'll ask a question, we'll do our best to answer. Who's got the first question? Yes, sir.